You know, I thought I really knew this place, but I didn't know anything about this place. You got to get down on your hands and knees and see what's going on with the insects and the plants it's just been an amazing learning experience, this whole thing, and how connected everything is.
As global warming intensifies floods, droughts, and wildfires, a growing number of research is beginning to back a certain furry weapon of combating climate change. Beavers, one of nature's most industrious engineers. More and more data is beginning to show how the preservation of beaver habitats can help by storing water in times of drought. They also possess the ability to stimulate nature recovery, reverse biodiversity loss, and improve the fire resistance of an environment. In the state of Nevada, climate change is manifesting by making the driest state even drier, droughts becoming more frequent. Nevada's ranch and farmland are currently seeing the effects of the drought increase, affecting crops, cattle, and the overall livelihood of the ranchers who work and live there. The impacts of climate change on ranch land, as well as humanity's gradual disconnect from the land, is of critical interest to Agee Smith, a sixth-generation rancher in rural Nevada. As droughts intensified over the years, Agee began to notice how beaver pools kept his cattle with enough water to survive. He also began to see a connection between the presence of beavers and the overall health of his ranch, leading him to adopt a new style of farming called holistic ranching.
It's guaranteed with the holistic management.
Agee kindly agreed to let 3 students come and visit his family's ranch and speak with him about his partnership with beavers.
We're working on soils.
To get to Cottonwood Ranch, we traveled 6 hours to the remote northeastern corner of Nevada, at the foot of the Jarbidge Mountains.
It's quite quaint. We quite like it.
We're in Wells, Nevada. Population 3.
3.
Hello, testing. This is Gaia. We're at Cottonwood Ranch. Does it sound good?
Go ahead, you two.
Because I had
Ask me a question. My great-grandfather came into this basin and bought this ranch and a number of other ranches from the O'Neills in the early 1920s. So we're getting close to being here 100 years. Wow. I don't think Dad, to the day he died, was really a lover of beavers. But he did quit, we quit dynamiting the dams and that. So the whole object is to try to work with nature rather than fighting or conquer nature with the whole holistic thing.
In 1995, Cottonwood's land was beginning to feel the effects of climate change. Both droughts and the washing of sediment was ruining the ranch's crops, and poorly managed grazing wasn't allowing the land to regenerate. The creek systems and their vegetation were also in poor shape, particularly that of the riparian.
The riparian areas, which is the creek. There's the creek, and then there's all of the vegetation that spreads out from the creek, and that's all called the riparian.
The relatively new concept of holistic ranching was introduced to Agee by a man named Alan Savory from Zimbabwe.
He figured out that there was a real correlation between good, healthy land and grazing and animals, that they're really in sync with each other. They're not at odds with each other.
Savory saw that a connection existed between healthy land and grazing animals.
They definitely use the land, and they can abuse the land if they're not managed right. But they also can be used to rehabilitate the land, and that was huge.
Strategic grazing was just one method Agee adopted that created such a positive ripple effect.
So it's just been an amazing learning experience, this whole thing, and how connected everything is. And beaver are part of that. And beaver were always here. We, at some point, 10 years into it or something, all of a sudden, we watched the beaver dams always were blowing out to where they weren't anymore. And it wasn't something that we planned or anything else. It was just, it was just an observation. And what it is as those riparians healed, it became a better environment for the beaver to put their dams in. And so they didn't wash out as often. So they have a more permanent home. And now they can create big wetlands because they can just keep expanding those dams. Once that happened, once the beaver dams started not blowing out, we really watched the riparian changes escalate in a positive, tremendous. I mean, it was several-fold how much faster they were improved after the beaver dams. So here, this beaver dam is tied into really good riparian habitat. So when the water comes down, it's not...
Historically, beavers have often been seen as pests. Last year alone, the federal government terminated close to 25,000 beavers in response to pest complaints. To learn more about beavers as a species, I visited the Nevada Department of Wildlife, where game specialist Russell Woolstenhume agreed to speak with me.
My name is Russell Woolstenhume. I'm a wildlife staff specialist with the Department of Wildlife here in Nevada. A beaver's role in the ecosystem is they're engineers. They are one of the few species that have the capability of changing their environment. Beaver can create damage through a lot of different ways. The primary one that most people think of is by cutting down trees. It can create a lot of damage that way. Secondarily, as they create their dams and they spread that water out, it also can flood out large areas that kill off more trees.
However, the research backing the positive power of beavers is beginning to outweigh the stereotype of beavers as pests. Elizabeth Mast is a second-year master's student at the University of Nevada, Reno, studying limnology. Her research revolves around aquatic environments and the wildlife that live within them.
I'm Elizabeth Mast. I study limnology at UNR. I'm getting my Master of Science in Ecology, Evolution, and Conservation Biology. So one of the most significant things beavers do is they build dams to create wetlands. These ponds or wetlands, they end up serve really important ecosystem services. As water flows through those areas, they capture nutrients so they can be natural filters for pollutants and are considered keystone species and ecosystem engineers. This one animal, the largest rodent in North America, even if they're present in low abundances, they have a really significant impact on the ecosystems that they occupy. And they're used a lot in restoration because of their connectedness and the impacts they have directly on ecosystems, but also the secondary impacts they have on everything surrounding and living in the area.
The evidence that beavers can be utilized as a tool for climate resistance is growing.
They're amazing. I mean, they're just an amazing little animal. They are tenacious and they're unbelievable builders. What we've done is enhanced what they can do. That was huge. That was huge. Watching, I mean, we quit fighting with beavers, but we didn't quit fighting with beavers with the thought that, oh, these little guys can fix this whole riparian. We just quit fighting with them because I don't want to fight with nature.
Agee is unique in that he embodies a bridging between tradition and innovation. A sixth-generation farmer in his 70s, abandoning tradition in favor of change places him in the minority of the rancher population.
What I'm trying to do is there is an awareness, create an awareness that you can make changes. I truly don't believe that there's very few, if any, operators out there trying to do harm. But it's back to that, you don't know what you don't know. And it's so easy on these places to just be out here and the world's out there and just leave me alone, let me do what I do. And tradition can be, don't get me wrong, tradition is very good, but it can also be a trap to improve, to bring knowledge to our industry. That's what I'd like to see the ranch do now.
With the growing research, it seems likely that Agee is one of the trailblazers, paving the way for like-minded ranchers who aim to work alongside nature rather than against it.
I have always liked this. This we know, the earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. This we know, all things are connected like the blood which unites one family. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons of the earth. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. And that's the end. So.
Thank you.
You gotta be one with the earth.